Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's informational session for the AESC Cornell Executive Talent Essentials Program. I'm Karen Siewert. I'm a Director of Senior Leader Programming at the Cornell ILR School. And Cornell and AESC have a long-standing partnership. We're really committed to designing and delivering exceptional learning experiences for executive talent professionals like yourself. And this program really reflects the best of both worlds. You have leading edge Cornell research, and then you have real world insights from AESC's global community. And in this session today, we're going to explore what makes the Advanced Executive Talent Selection Strategies course so unique, why it's a worthwhile investment, and what you can expect from the experience. But before we meet today's speakers, I wanted to do a quick snapshot of the program. So I don't know if we can go to the next slide. So the course is going to run from October 22nd to November 12th. It includes 4 live virtual sessions that are held weekly over Zoom, and each session is interactive and discussion-based. The first 3 sessions are led by Professor J.R. Keller, who you're going to meet shortly. And the final session brings in industry leaders and provides a space for reflection and action planning. So you're going to walk away from this course with strategies to apply to your work. So I'm thrilled today to be joined by Professor J.R. Keller, who just said hello, and Lynne Murphy-Rivera. J.R. is the faculty lead for this program. He is also an associate professor of human resource studies at the ILR School and director of the Executive Masters in HR Management. J.R. is also an award-winning researcher and educator on employee mobility and careers. And J.R., a quick shout out. I'd like to congratulate you on your recent award for Best Published Paper from the Academy of Management and Careers. So congratulations and welcome. Lynne Murphy-Rivera. Many of you may already know Lynne. Lynne is a director for the Americas at AESC, and she is also a proud alum of a previous AESC Cornell program. Thank you both for being here today with us. All right, before we get into our discussion here, I just want to encourage our audience, feel free to submit your questions in the chat, and we'll go ahead and address those questions at the end of the session. So let's go ahead and get started with why this program was created. So as many of you know, the executive talent landscape is in flux. Organizations are evolving their business models, executive candidates have new expectations, and hiring decisions are really carrying long-term strategic implications. And so this program was really created to help leaders like you make sense of these shifts and respond with research-backed practical strategies that really can elevate your approach to talent. So JR, let's get started with you. What do you see as some of the biggest shifts you're seeing in how organizations attract, assess, and retain executive talent today? And then maybe, and maybe part 2 of that, how would you see this program helping participants address those shifts?
Yeah, I think it's a super good question. We could probably talk about this for an hour if we had time at all. Try to boil it down to a few things. I think one of the biggest pieces is that organizations, they just have so many questions about how to do all of this well. There is such a broad sense of uncertainty about what the talent landscape looks like now, what it's going to look like in the future, what I need now as an organization versus what I'm going to need 3 months from now, 6 months from now, let alone 4 or 5 years from now. You know, part of that's around economic uncertainty, geopolitical uncertainty, but also just, you know, questions around really understanding uncertainty around like what is attracting talent now? Like what is the best way to find talent? How do I know what the talent pool out there, the potential executives, what do they want? Who might actually be attracted to my organizations, or to my organization? What type of competencies might I be looking for? Certainly just questions on, should I hire now or should I wait? You know, I think everybody's obviously talking about AI or different versions of this. And so there's this question around to what extent do I need help with this, or should I just type in a prompt and it'll help me find my next CEO of my organization? And if AI is a tool that's out there, is it the best? Are there other things that are better? How good will it actually be? And so I think the biggest thing is that I think this whole landscape in terms of attracting, assessing, and retaining executive talent is really maybe more uncertain than I've seen it in the last 15 years, where I've been in this space, both doing research in the space and talking with search firms and talking with companies making these hiring decisions. And I think, to me, that positions executive search consultants makes them really much more important than ever to be able to help answer these questions.
Great. Thank you. Hi, Lynne. It's great to see you.
Hi, Karen. Happy to be here.
From an AESC perspective and as an alum in one of our educational programs, how do you see this program aligning with the evolving needs of the executive search and leadership advisory profession?
Great question. And let me just say, JR, it's a pleasure to be on this discussion with you. I totally enjoyed your course, which I'll talk to a little bit more when we get to that point. But what does this provide in terms of, I guess, a little bit of a path or a North Star during these uncertain times? I would say that there are three things that are very important for this program and what attracted me initially and those in my cohort. Number one, it is the Cornell program, the Cornell name, rather. So that's wonderful. And you think, wow, we're going to be in front of these professors who are Ivy League. That's incredible. Many of us being out of school for a period of time. Number two, the most important part around learning is learning from your peers. So you couple the professors with learning from your peers, and then you actually have to, every single week as you're going through the program, you're learning how to incorporate those learnings into your day-to-day. And I find that that was very exciting from my cohort. But where are we now? That was 2021. I can tell you that some of the same challenges that we were talking about in 2021 are here today. I think we're a lot more uncertain now. Therefore, the competitive landscape is a lot more intense. We have our executive search professionals who are just trying to find that golden nugget in terms of, what can I provide to my client to make what I say and my relationship more valuable. So having this program, having the sound bites, the learning from your peers kind of provides that pathway to making you stand out and have more of a distinctive view from your corporate clients as someone who can add value, someone who can provide that trusted advisor information, kind of a consulting around outside of the uncertainty, if that makes sense. So I think also I'll just add that executive search is so much more than placing leaders, as those of you who are in the audience know that. I want you to know that I know that, and we know that at AESC, it really is providing leadership consulting at the highest level. So when you combine the knowledge that you get from this program and that you are able to incorporate in your day-to-day, it just underscores the fact that you are an executive search consultant that your clients trust, and it sets you apart from the rest.
Great. Thank you so much, Lynne. All right, let's shift gears a little bit and take a closer look at the program itself. We know as busy professionals, your time is really limited. And that's why this course has really been designed to be targeted, applied, and built for immediate impact. So each session, and JR will get into this, I'm sure, in a minute, but each session will really dive into a key aspect of executive selection, from business drivers to decision-making and relationship management. But what you're also going to find is a highly collaborative learning environment, and there you're going to be gaining insights and lead with tools, but you're also going to be working alongside a global peer group. So JR, let's start again with you. Could you give us a preview of maybe one or two of the modules that you'll be teaching, and maybe comment on what participants can expect to learn and what they might take away?
Yeah, I think at a really high level, each one of these sessions is really curated to help make you a better consultant. And part of that is the fact that everybody in this audience is an expert, right? You are doing this work on a daily basis. And so part of what I hope to add are these tools and frameworks and research insights so that you can structure conversations and bring data to the table to help your clients understand why you're doing what you're doing, why it's adding value, right? And then you can also draw on the insights of the folks in the room. So how are we answering questions when clients are challenging us on this particular topic, right? Or this particular issue. So, we're going to start off with really thinking about how the needs of the business shape what organizations are looking for. So we're going to talk really clearly about, how to frame these search conversations, these consulting conversations around the needs of the business, and how that shapes where organizations should be looking for talent, what individuals might actually be attracted to, and which maybe won't be so attracted to particular opportunities, and what research says about the right fit between candidates and opportunities, depending on the business strategy. We'll certainly talk about something that I'm imagining comes up in a lot of your conversations, which is around how do we handle potential internal candidates? And what does the data say about the value of benchmarking externally, even when there are qualified internal candidates? And I'll tell you, we'll get into more about this, but there is no service that gets more underutilized than external talent benchmarking. And so the expertise that you can bring on understanding the external market and how that can inform organizational talent decisions, we're going to talk a ton about the ways to structure those conversations and what the data says. We'll also talk about how to influence hiring decisions. So really think carefully about the ways that you might present candidates to clients in a way that will help drive them to making better decisions and to make them understand the value that you're adding, to know that you're really encompassing what the market looks like, and so that you can avoid issues where clients end up just not hiring anybody, even though you have likely uncovered 5 candidates that would be great fits for that. So we'll talk about how to avoid some of those missteps and how to really engage with clients. And then we're going to talk really thoughtfully around the importance of relationships, right? So really how to be a steward of that candidate experience as well as through your client experience. And that includes all sorts of authority issues around how do you manage rejections? So how do you talk to the talent that you're engaging with when they actually don't get selected? How do you talk with your clients in ways that you can understand both what's going to happen at different stages of the process and sort of setting those expectations? And all of that we're going to do through sort of a data research back lens, but in a way that after each of these sessions, right, you should be able to think about how to restructure some of those conversations you're happening right away. So it's really not going to be pie in the sky theory, but really thinking about how we can take what we know and apply it immediately.
Great, thanks, JR. Lynne, we'd love to hear your perspectives about, first, I think, who is the ideal participant in this program and what can they expect?
Sure, I would get that question quite a bit, and I think it's for anyone in executive search, from newly stepping into the role to being a senior who needs have a refresh. And you want to provide that constant learning to your clients to show that you care enough about your career to keep elevating your knowledge. So I would say it's for anyone in executive search who is client facing, and who wants to build their profile and their knowledge so that they are ready for the world, and ready for all of this uncertainty and being able to add value. I also think it is uh, it is a natural next step, the Cornell program, for a leader looking to just expand his or her horizons. So JR mentioned the data. When you have that data, you have the research, you can build that into your conversations and you sound smarter. Frankly, you are smarter because you've just learned something new. It gives you those tools to bring to the table. And I always say that, lifelong learners, that kind of implies someone who's very senior, but you're born that way, I think. So if you're willing to learn from others and you are, curious and you want to keep growing, that is the ideal candidate, frankly. And if you're not that person, try to become that person because it makes you better in your career overall.
Great. And can you comment a little bit about how this program might complement or build on other AESC educational offerings?
Sure. If you are, and without going into all of the different programs that we have, I will just give an example. There are several AESC members and non-members who have registered for our beginnings foundational research programs, who have moved into our topical workshops, and then, the signature program we see Cornell, executive talent essentials as that pinnacle of, okay, I've got the foundation. Now I'm ready to take my career to the next level. So ideally, when you have on your LinkedIn profile or your profile in general, the fact that you have invested in education to such an extent from beginning to this point, it just shows that again, you stand out and you know that you're adding more value than someone who just says, I do what I've always done. I know what I'm doing. It's like, yeah, this gives you the wings, the wind under your wings. And I think it is sort of a natural culmination of what you can expect from executive search. And we're the only program that is dedicated to executive search around the topics that we provide. So it's a natural flow of professional development.
Great. Thanks, Lynn. And as you indicated a little earlier, when you invest in this program, you're really investing in two really trusted names in the talent and education space. So you have AESC and you have Cornell, and together we've really created a program that not only delivers knowledge and insight, but really helps you turn that knowledge and insight into action. And this program really gives you a uniquely rigorous and relevant learning experience, but it's not just about the content, JR, hopefully that's okay with you. It's really about the caliber of the discussions in the room, the depth of that insight, and the strength of the community that you're going to be working with to help to identify new thinking. So I mentioned this, the final session is especially distinctive because it helps you really consolidate it. Oftentimes you go into learning programs and you say, that's great, and you walk away. But we're really going to make you be able to consolidate your learning and walk away with an action plan that you can immediately apply. So JR, over to you again. What is your, if you could talk about two things, what is your approach to teaching senior leader professionals? And then how do you ensure that your content stays relevant and actionable?
Let me start with the first question. Sort of my approach to teaching in this program is, it has to be fun and interactive, right? Because I think that you don't need to just hear a faculty member lecture you on the work that you are actually doing, but rather helping to facilitate learning and interactive conversations, both from me, but also from each other. And so each one of these sessions is really carefully curated to keep you engaged and talking and leave with key takeaways and action items that you can implement as soon as you log off of the session. And one of the ways that I'm able to do that is because I sit in this I sit in the world's best HR department. I mean, there's just no other way to put that, if I can toot our own horn a little bit. But I have experts all around me, experts on assessments, experts on hiring, experts on training and development, experts on consulting, experts on decision making. So I have all this faculty expertise, and then we also have this amazing network of alumni and companies that myself and everybody else engages with all the time. So from small to medium-sized business to the Fortune 50 companies around the world. And so really understanding the issues that companies are facing when they're thinking about hiring, assessing, and retaining talent. And so I'm able to bring all that recent data, all those insights, all those stories together to, I think, bring all of this to life.
Great. Lynne, maybe you can talk a little bit about how participants have generally responded to the AESC Cornell programs, and also, obviously you're a program alum. How has earning a certificate from this program really differentiated you and others in this profession?
Sure. That's, again, a great question. I'm going to start on that value of the peer-to-peer. The content is awesome. So we're not saying anything about the content, but taking that content and then having discussions in the peer-to-peer sessions was so valuable. And I recall in my cohort, kind of sometimes the pressure of learning, where you are, when you're growing, it's a little uncomfortable at times, but you're learning and you're expanding your horizons, and particularly in the global setting. So our group was Asia and Americas. So very different in many respects and very similar in others. And so we from our conversations, we learned how different it is in Asia, for instance. And then we bonded on the fact that in spite of our differences, there was so much that was similar. And so we learned from each other, just how do you have these conversations with your clients, and how do you go out and generate new business? What's different? what can we all improve on? So we were also finding new ways to do things, like I remember a conversation in how many people or how many candidates are in the short list, right? And it went from, believe it or not, some people said as few as 3, which is kind of normal, I guess, whatever, standard, but as many as 10. And I'll never forget that conversation where someone said very specifically, if you're giving 10 people in your short list to your client, you're making them work harder than they should. You should actually narrow it down for them so that you have the confidence. Give them the short list that you really believe in. And JR, this was in your class, by the way. This was in your class. And that candidate, or that, I'm sorry, that member registrant walked away with new knowledge in terms of how can I prepare myself better for the conversation on the short list with my client? How can I add more value to that? She is one of those people who was, by the way, promoted several times. So it definitely elevated her career. So this is, getting to the question of, what happens after you get the certificate? A lot of things happen. I did see several promotions, and just elevating your career to having the Cornell Executive Talent Certificate, on your LinkedIn profile. It really tells the world that you're committed to growth. You're committed to a first-rate. My cohort members was recognized by her peers globally, and she won the Future of the Profession Award, which was amazing. And she has been promoted several times. So do we promise promotions? I mean, we can't really promise that. The one thing we can promise is that when you build your profile and you build your knowledge and you grow your value, what better thing to have, under your belt to say that I am moving upward. I am making myself better for those who are in my sphere and those who haven't even met me yet. So yeah, it is and the last thing, our cohort met at one of our conferences. We're just, so close, and we still connect. We take, we LinkedIn message back and forth. So you're stepping into a great community of people who want to learn, people who are very serious about this profession and industry, and what better place to be. So I could talk forever about this, but it's been quite the experience.
Great, thank you, Lynn and JR. All right, let's see if there are any questions from the audience. Rebecca.
It looks like we have one in the chat asking about pre-work and homework for the session. So what is that expectation in between sessions, outside of JR sessions and the cohort session?
Great. That's a question we always get. We understand that you're busy professionals, but we also understand, that there's some pre-work and post-work that generally needs to be done with these courses in order to help you really dig into some of the details a little more. JR might be able to highlight some specifics of that. From my perspective, from your perspective, it's about 1 to 2 hours of work, I'd say, that you could think about as you're thinking about this course. JR, do you want to mention any of that?
I think for most of the sessions, I'll send you a little bit of pre-reading. They're very short, punchy, think HBR style articles, really just to kind of prime the pump and get you thinking before we come in, so you know what we're going to talk about and have those discussions. Often really where you end up doing more work is I get tons of requests I want to see more about the research that we talked about. I want to see this report. I have these outstanding questions. And so I'll send that to you and you can do that on your own. But there isn't any true homework per se. It's just trying to get you in the mindset to where we're ready to have these really vibrant conversations each time we get together.
The only other thing I'll add is that we also use a Canvas site for this program. So we often open the Canvas site is open, and there are discussions that take place amongst the cohort. So we have discussion threads, and people are adding their own thoughts and research as well in between the sessions.
And if I could add, there's a little bit, think about Canva, by the way. We started to get a little competitive with each other in a very friendly way to see, who has read, oh, you read that already? Well, I'm going to read that, and, oh, so you're talking about this and you're adding bullets and notes. Well, let me jump in and do the same thing. So it's all good in terms of those who are crazy and competitive like that, but it's good learning. And you have all of that data and knowledge at your disposal on the Canvas site. So I remember one professor had put quite a bit of pretty heavy, dense content. Some of us read all of it, many of us did. So always good to have all that content in front of you, but not, as JR said, it's not heavy homework. We know you're busy professionals. This is only, to help you grow.
Great. Thank you so much, JR and Lynne, for sharing your insights today. It's been a pleasure having you with us. I think we have one more piece. I know we're right up at time, but there are enrollment details that we'd love for you to take a look at. So you can use the QR code on the screen to learn more about the program and to register. And be sure to use the discount code that's listed on the page to get your discount. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to the AESC team at learndev@aesc.org. And we really hope to see you in the next cohort. And thank you again to all our speakers, JR, Lynne, and to everyone who joined us today.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Thanks, everybody. Hope to see you soon.